time for Mr. Rothstein to break out some of his jokes.
Oh.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me to sing.
You can do that too.
Mm. Everybody's so quiet. It's so nice. You can chat amongst yourselves for a minute.
Okay. We got the thumbs up there.
Okay, we have the
Saying
thumbs
wait,
up. We
oh,
are
no,
ready
it's
to
just-
roll.
You just said, wait a minute.
Oh, nope.
You got to wait for Lauren.
Okay. Okay, we're almost ready to roll. Okay. All right, so I would like to entertain a motion for consideration of the closed and public meeting minutes of December 6th, 2021, which is our attachment number 1. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Ms. Merklinger. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Tunnicliffe. Any discussion? There being none, Mrs. Flowers, please do the honors.
Okay, Ms. Merklinger,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Vice President Tunnicliffe,
Yes.
President Trixfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
And moving right along, this is always my favorite portion of our agenda. And this is our student liaison report. And we have Baharam and Rhoda with us this evening.
Good evening, everyone. So first off, the senior class had a spirit week last week, which included Monday, which is dress as your favorite singer, Tuesday, wear sparkles or glitter, Winter Wonderland Wednesday, which was a whiteout, and Thursday, dress to impress, and Flannel Friday on Friday.
For this week, Student Council is sponsoring Crocs and Crazy Socks. Tuesday is Mountaineer merch, so wear your Mountaineer merch. Wednesday, pajama day, so come to school comfortable. Thursday, wear your favorite holiday sweaters, so I want to see the ugliest sweaters you can possibly imagine. So on behalf of the students, this recent change to hybrid is startling but not unexpected. From the start of the year, we took all COVID precautions, but with the cold and the flu seasons, cases rose. Obviously, this is not only West Orange. We have multiple other schools around the area who have closed. Schools with even less students than ours, which just shows that this was something that was bound to happen. The student cases just last week were over 20, and moving the cohorts to lessen the contact and decongest hallways was our best move. Today in school, the hallways were less crowded and lunch was more distant due to our cohorts, so our hope is that this helps. Personally, I wasn't there in school this week, but from what I've heard from my other fellow student liaisons, Adrian Ampadu and Kia Berhane, the amount of students within the school is significantly lower. It's been, what they've told me is that the amount of students in the hallways are less congested. The amount of students within the lunchrooms is much lower and there's more spacing. We respect this choice to maintain our overall health and safety. Nevertheless, many students are reluctant of hybrid and would like to return to in-person classes as soon as we can. And we hope to be back in person after the break, as we believe that in-person education is the best for our learning and social emotional health. So please just, if you're in school, this is specifically for the students, please wear your masks. I want to see people again. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. So last week, there was an annual toy drive at the Turtleback Zoo to collect toys for local youth, where the PAL and YHS cheerleaders and boys step and girls step team performed. It was a great community event for a good cause. Being that I am the step team captain, it was a great event. It was good to be back out there with my team. I did see a few familiar faces there, and it was a really sweet event.
Finally, the Youth Advisory Committee, which had student reps from each grade, an administrator, a parent, and staff member, for school lunches, met December 10th with Miss Lori Craggle to talk and get feedback on school lunches and fix any issues. So they recently learned how and why of school lunches, how and why school lunches are the way they are right now, and look forward to adding the feedback from our students on the youth advisory committee.
Personally, I am part of that committee as well. And we basically discussed a lot of the school lunch issues that we're facing currently. And some of the solutions that we came up with was also about plating issues and the amount of supplies that we actually have, which we're actually running out of. So moving forward, there will be changes in how our lunches are going. And I think the students will be more accepting towards the changes that they are discussing with Machinos. Okay, sorry, Machinos. Yep, and that's it.
All right, thank you, both of you so much. And just want to recognize Yab and Adrian, who are the other student liaisons, and they alternate board meetings. So I just wanted to recognize them and to thank Baharam and Rhoda for your comments this evening. And now I'm going to turn it over to our illustrious superintendent, Dr. Cascon.
Thank you, President Strick-Scales, and good evening, everyone. It's exciting to see everyone here to be recognized. This is absolutely one of my favorite parts of the job, and I know for the board as well. So at this time, I would ask, we'll have President Trigg-Scales and Board Member Merklinger come up on stage with us in sort of recognition of their last meeting. We've asked to honor with them with coming up to present the awards. Ms. Flowers, if you'll join me up there as well to assist. And once up there, we'll explain to you how to process up, and we'll get into the awards. It's on? Yeah, there you go. Okay, here we are. So the Parade of Honors was a practice that was started prior to my time in the district. It might have been Ms. Merklinger and by Mr. Charles, when Ron Charles was on the board, and it's a great practice and one we're happy to continue. So the first honorees, and I'll say a few words, and then I'll ask the girls soccer coaching staff to come up and say a few words, and then we look forward to welcoming the girls up. What a season. You may not know this, maybe you do. I'm a big fan of soccer, big fan of girls soccer, having girls myself at home. And it was a great season. Obviously the Essex County Crown, semifinals in the States. Just great to see the way the girls came together. And so we're very happy to be recognizing you tonight. And so Coach Nevins and staff, you want to come up and say a few words about the girls? I'm sorry, Coach DeVore, sorry. Wrong side. Coach DeVore, you want to come on up?
Thank you, Dr. Cascone, and thank you all for coming. It was a really special year. And as I said, when I spoke to NJ.com after we won, I don't think too many people expected West Orange to get to where we were. We were young. We didn't have very many seniors on the team, and the team just kind of came together. And it was just kind of a really magical run. And every game was pretty tightly contested. We won 1-0 in the quarters, 1-0 in the semis, and then 2-1 in the final. And it just kind of showed what kind of perseverance the girls had. And it was a really special moment. and the way the girls kind of came together and kind of fought through it. And to mention as well, Caitlin Bridgers, who was a senior starter for us, got injured very badly in the first round game, and we had to plug in a couple of different players into that spot. And the way all the girls kind of came together with that was really, really special. So to all the girls, it was a great time and a great moment. To the parents and the fans, thank you for everything. And your coaching staff is very, very proud of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, so I'll ask the coaches to come up now first. As I call, you can come up to this side. Okay, so Coach Sebastian DePino, come on up, Coach. Unfortunately, coaches Chris Millette and Dave Perez were unable to be in attendance tonight, but we thank them for their efforts as well. All right, and now the guests of honor, Dorinda Destin. Come on up. Hannah Amoya. Caitlin Bridgers. Madison Cyrus. Congratulations. Alexis Dalmacy. Anna Deer. Aminata Diop. Congratulations. That's Deer. Charlie Dvorin. Okay. Aria Evans. She's not here. Lucy Fishkin. Josephine Lucrezio. Daniela Malanga. Morgan Miller. Sida Mitchell. Chloe Mondi. Kennedy Morgan. Tori Rideau wins. Haley Rodriguez. Francesca Schuler. Jaden Schultz. Anya Steigbigel. Lauren Villasin. Jessica Welcome. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our county champion girls soccer team. Big round of applause. All right. So we thank you, ladies. Now, as you know, we've the West Orange football program has been doing quite well on the varsity level. And Coach Grant's brought in infused a new culture and energy into the program, and the future is looking even brighter. We had tonight, we will recognize our freshman football team, which was undefeated this year. And with that, let's do it. Absolutely. I'd first just like to call up the members of the coaching staff to come up first, and I'll ask the head coach to say a few words about the team, and then we'll call the young men up. So first is Coach Anthony Shaw, Coach Donald Massey, Coach Abdul Hanks, and Coach Joe Anderson. Come on up, coaches.
Good evening. I wasn't expecting to make a speech tonight, so I don't have any paper or anything with me, but
You're a football coach. That's what you do.
I'm actually very quiet. I'm just humbled to have a great staff. But Coach Ab, Coach Shaw, Coach Don Massey. I'm very young to the game. It's my first year in charge as a head coach. I just learn from these guys every day. Every day, in and out. I try to get better as a coach, as a young man, as a example of what we're trying to build in West Orange. And we just had a great team. We had a great group of kids. It just shows you how bright the future is for this town, on and off the field. These guys, they come hard to work every day. In school, they give us trouble because they're teenage kids, but we try to manage it as much as possible. They have great grades. We stay on top of the grades because the grades come first. They're scholar athletes. So without the education, they won't be stepping foot on that field. So there's other things greater than football in life, and we want to instill that in our kids more than anything. So I'm just thankful. I'm humbled by the experience, the opportunity to go out there and give them a bit of my knowledge, as well as soaking in from these guys what I can, because I'm up on the varsity level with them on Friday nights, sitting behind Coach Don, trying to learn from him in the D line, trying to learn from Coach Ab, trying to learn the offensive calls, trying to learn from Coach Shaw, just the ins and outs of daily life. I talk to him, I text them these three more than anybody in the world. So without them, I am nothing. And I want to appreciate these guys and thank you. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
In addition to obviously some outstanding young men and athletes, humble and inspiring words from coach, and you can understand that this coaching staff had a huge part to do with the success of the team. And so without further ado, we will now call our athletes up. They'll come up one by one, process up on this side to get your certificate. Board member Merklinger is going to assist. Nicholas Adams. Carl Apollon. Christopher Barino. Darius Brown. Brian Calle Yanez. Savion Carson. Bryce Davis. Jaden Desaviris. Anthony DeLuey. Joseph Felly. Ion Gaynor. James Gatsky. Najee Glenn. Zion Gordon. Joshua Hartwell. Josh Hill. Daniel Iannone. Mason Insana. Makai Jenkins. Jabari Johnson. James Malone. EJ McAdams. Ryan Morris. Jahid Salam. Aiden Tiernan. Samaji Tony. Jamel Touze. Brian Vasquez. Now I have to just, in advance of these last two names, to say a couple of words of pardon. Their names were not on the original list I received. So, to these two young men, I apologize, and we'll get you your certificates tomorrow. And they are Olatan Akinola and Marshai Williams. Oh, I'm sorry, Jason James. Jason James. Yes, sir. Jason James. Perfection is hard to achieve. These young men did it. Big round of applause for our freshman football team. Sorry about that. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, this next award, we almost needed to go with a larger size paper than 8.5 by 11 to get all his achievements and accolades on it. This next award winner, in a moment, I'm going to ask Coach Nevins, who can speak much more eloquently in greater detail about his accomplishments. Just I'll rattle off a few here. This is Ari Rosu, 3-time All-Conference, 3-time All-County, 3-time All-Section SCANJ, 2-time First Team All-Group 4, 2-time First Team All-Group State, Essex County Player of the Year for this year, USC Regional All-American, and USC All-American. So that's quite a list of accomplishments. So Ari and Coach Nevins, why don't you come up now? This way Coach can say a few words and we can present Ari with the certificate. And I believe Ari is committed to St. Joseph's to continue his playing career. So we wish him all the best there as he moves on. We know he'll continue to do us proud.
Good evening, everybody. Before I get to Ari, I want to first congratulate the freshman boys football team. I think I have about half of the guys on the team in class. They're wonderful young men. Undefeated season's great. And the girls soccer team, I've had the pleasure of watching a lot of them since they were little girls, and they had an unbelievable season. Sean is one of the best coaches in New Jersey in any sport. Ari Rosu, he's been, well, first of all, let me start by saying I had the pleasure of coaching his older brother, Andre, who to this day in 22 years is the single greatest listener, most focused, incredible guy ever. So when Ari came, and I'd seen him since he was about 7 at my camps, he was always the most athletic of the Rosu brothers. He was always really fast, really strong. His freshman year, he played on the freshman team at first, played forward and scored about 35 goals. So the end of the season, we brought him up to varsity, and he did a nice job for us. His sophomore year, he started out at forward, scored like 7 goals. We had a bunch of injuries. We weren't that good, so we moved him to the back. And it was like, what had we been thinking? Because as soon as we moved him back to defense, he was just incredible. Last year as a junior, he was first team All-State, one of the best players in the state. And then this year, not only again, first team All-State, but to be named a regional All-American, an All-American, only the 3rd guy in school history, and to get to play in the All-American game. And now he's a Division I commit. Incredible, incredible honor. He's a great player, one of the best we've ever had. He's going to be greatly missed, and he's going to do a great job at St. Joe's. Ari Rosu.
Thank you, Coach and Ari. Okay, this next award, and I just want to is Miss Butler in the audience? Miss Cheryl Butler? Yeah, okay. Well, I will present on her behalf. Miss Cheryl Butler, our Director of Student Counseling Services, did nominate students for these next 2 awards. And they are both awards for outstanding citizenship by high school students. The first award winner is Amina Nekwe. Amina Nekwe. And I've had the privilege of working with Amina through her work in the Grassroots Community Foundation, and more specifically in ending period poverty. She is a active advocate for that cause and has really done quite a bit of work to raise awareness and advocacy here in West Orange and beyond for this important cause. And so with that, we honor her this evening and would ask her to come up and be acknowledged. Amina? The next student, Anai Badlani. Anai is one of the members of the Nikhil Badlani Foundation Youth Advisory Board, which is a youth organization that does public awareness and advocacy campaigns around pedestrian safety and driver safety. Through his work and the work of the Youth Advisory Board in partnership with the West Orange Pedestrian Safety Board, obviously an integral part in the annual organization and running of the Stop for Nikhil Walk, which has raised thousands and thousands of dollars that have gone back to the community for awareness campaigns as well as music lessons. And so we're very proud tonight to acknowledge Anai Badlani. Anai, can you come up? Okay, this next award, this was, and I believe I spied the esteemed Miss Dahl. Is that Miss Dahl I see back there? Miss Dahl, come on up, Miss Dahl. One of our stars on the staff here, super dedicated and really inspires her students to achieve new heights in journalism and writing. And she's, I'll have her come up and present this next award and speak a little bit about it. Miss Dahl?
Thank you, Dr. Cascone. Good evening. The leadership team positions on the West Orange High School Pioneer, which is our school's newspaper, if you're unfamiliar, WOHSpioneer.org, wink, wink. We have an app, is not a position that one is given. They are positions that one earns. And these three young women worked their tails off over the past few years to establish themselves not only as student journalists, but as student leaders and some absolutely amazing young women. They are dedicated. They are hardworking. They manage to juggle so many balls at one time, and they don't drop any of them. They pick the ones up that I drop all the time. And so I would really like, I'm switching the order here, sorry. I would really like to recognize Devin Wilkes and Ms. Marley Diaz as our co-editors in chief, and Ms. Kylie Capstraw, our managing editor.
Yeah, of course.
I would also like to recognize Ms. Samantha Nunez, who was accepted to and attended the Montclair State University Summer of 2021 Journalism Workshop. On a side note, I have to say that the college, These women are all seniors and their college acceptances are rolling in and they are ridiculously impressive with lots of money.
Okay, this next award recipient was nominated by Mr. Moore and Mrs. Fury in the guidance department. And this was for published research from Michigan Technology University. Mr. Moore, did I see Mr. Moore in the house? Mr. Moore, do you want to come up and say a few words about this impressive young man? No, that's right. Come on up, Mr. Moore. Listen, we understand you have a big operation here, and it's like, Mr. Moore, come on, let's go. Let's get a round of applause for the fearless leader of the high school. That's okay. And we're you know what, while we're at it, we're going to call up Rohan Sarkar. Rohan, are you here? Come on up, Rohan. Published author, is he here? No? Okay, well, you're good then, but we're going to be calling you up again later. Yeah, for that one, we really, so the next awards, I received word that these award recipients were not going to be able to make it this evening, but I just wanted to acknowledge them, which were the 2021 Fall FCCLA competition, which is essentially in the Family and Consumer Science department. And this goes from everything from baking to sewing rather, to illustration, to fashion. And so in the creative stitches category, Jasmine Minchala won first place gold medal, Ming Zhang gold medal, and Isabella Shiner silver medal. In food fascination, Emma Larson first place gold medal. Passion for fashion, Odieli Ramos silver medal, Carmina Rojas silver medal. Interior design challenge, Emily Morocho the gold medal. In the cupcake challenge, I wish I could have been there for that. Nora McNamara, the silver medal. Chelsea Adams, silver medal. And in illustrated talk interior design, Jean Monterre, silver medal. And in the banner and poster competition, Samantha Montague, gold medal, and Nicole Oshodi, gold medal. So a round of applause. That's a lot of hardware, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we do here in West Orange. We just keep winning. That's all we do. Not that that's everything, but it's nice. Okay, and moving on to one of our school awards. Redwood Elementary School is Miss, she's just walking in on cue. Miss Jackson, okay, very good. Well, that would have been, see, look at the dramatic entrance. Miss Kimmy Jackson, come on up, Miss Jackson. Doing a heck of a job down there at Redwood in her first complete year. We're thrilled to have her at the helm. And so I'm going to ask her to come up and say a few words about her honorees from Redwood School. Miss Jackson?
Good evening. So I'm here tonight to recognize 3 people from Redwood School. The first one would be Mr. Marcellus Hockaday, who was here, but he had to go back to our building. He is our one of our night custodians who during this entire time we've been dealing with COVID, he has been in early, stayed in late, has done everything he could possibly do to make sure that our children and staff are safe and healthy. And I just wanted to recognize him tonight for that. And the next 2 honorees would be Miss Jennifer Paul and Mr. Paul Stefanelli, who took on the job of creating our very first SEL day at Redwood. They came to me and noticed that the morale was low and that people were on eggshells because we were all back in person. And they said, you know what we want to do? We want to create a day where everyone learns strategies to deal with what we're dealing with right now, to deal with mindfulness, to deal with all of the hardships and the daily ins and outs of being in school during COVID. So they looked at the Castles framework that our district is using, and they took on SEL Day and gave us mindfulness strategies. We had some movement, some motion, some sitting and meditating, a lot of different things throughout the day. So I wanted to recognize them today for creating that. And they're looking towards another morale booster day for the spring. So we have Mr. Stefanelli and Miss Jennifer Paul. All right. So I'll be taking these with me. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Okay, moving on to Edison School. We have a student from Edison School being recognized for outstanding achievement in entrepreneurship. Is Chloe Altejos here? Chloe, why don't you come on up, Chloe, and I would like you to tell us a little bit about what you did. Come on up. Come on up, Chloe. An outstanding entrepreneur who is showing that already in 6th grade. I'm sure one day we'll be reading about her changing the world.
I would just like to say thank you to the whole West Orange community and my family for supporting me and my business.
Big round of applause. All right, so it's I could save this for last, but next up on the agenda is Mr. Hayden Moore. Mr. Hayden Moore. Mr. Hayden Moore, I tell you, he steers a big old ship up here at the high school. Big old ship. Sometimes I'll say to him, you run a building that's bigger than many districts that superintendents are running. There are school districts that have many less students than Mr. Moore has up here. You don't have to be around West Orange High School for very long to see that this is a man who spends every minute of every day uplifting others. Uplifting others is what he does with his smile, with his energy. Okay. But it's not just about the smile and the energy, although that's pretty darn good. Okay. But this is an extremely intelligent, capable leader who has really under his stewardship. Now, Mr. Moore, how many years have you been here as an assistant principal and a principal?
In
Total.
23 years.
23 years serving the high school in administration. And under Mr. Moore's leadership, there has really been a renaissance of this high school, a complete turnaround in this high school, where it's a school that this community and the students can be proud of. And boys and girls, are you proud of your high school? See, okay, it has a lot to do with this man right here. So, Mr. Moore, it's an honor and privilege working with you. And I'm very honored to present you with a certificate presented to Hayden Moore, Principal, West Orange High School, Excellence in Leadership, as recognized by the West Orange Public School District, West Orange Board of Education, December 20th, 2021.
Thank you. Let me just say hi to. Thank you.
And I also should mention one final piece, which is, in addition to being a high school principal, which is all consuming, Mr. Moore volunteers an awful lot of his time in the community as a coach, in addition to being a father of three. So thank you, Mr. Moore. The community is very fortunate to have you at the helm, sir. Thank you. Is goodbye, folks. Have a good night. Safe trips. Is Ann Mernon in the audience tonight? Ann? Oh, yay. Ann, you're here. Come on up. So, thank you for coming in. Ann Mernon is the director, if you will, of Tony's Kitchen. And I'll have Ann come on up. And come on up, Ann. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. So I was introduced to Ann through former board member Mordecai. And Ann is director, is that a fair way to say it? The director of Tony's Kitchen in Montclair, which is a food pantry and soup kitchen. And Ann and Tony's Kitchen have been absolutely just tremendously in partnering up, obviously, with our own resources here in helping us work in resolving food insecurity here in West Orange. And they've continued to do that, donating fresh fruit and vegetable parcels and grocery parcels down at Washington School on Friday afternoons. So, Ann, I can't thank you enough, and to Tony's Kitchen and our community, and on behalf of our community, thank you for your generosity, and thank you for all the important work that you're doing for those less fortunate. I know, right? Returning nominee is Margie Heller here tonight? Margie? Okay. Well, Margie Heller, RWJ Barnabas, Senior VP, Outstanding Community Service. RWJ Barnabas has continued to be an important partner with the school district, donating a whole host of things from school supplies to backpacks. And so we continue to be grateful for their partnership. And of course, Ms. Heller is a graduate of West Orange High School and a resident of West Orange. Betsy Stevens. Betsy, you here? Yeah. Okay. Betsy Stevens of Yoga Playhouse. And you probably recognize me saying that. Betsy has been a great partner with me on the mindful minutes that you sometimes see me doing on social media. Betsy writes the scripts and and has been sort of coaching me on the mindfulness practices. So Betsy, if you're watching, you are so greatly appreciated, and the work that you've done with me on that, I think, has been a real important and positive thing for the community. So thank you for that. This next individual is probably passed out someplace from exhaustion, and that's Michael Fonzino. Is Michael here? And Michael Fonzino is the director of the West Orange Department of Health. And Michael is always there, always, as well as the entire DOH team, when we need them, when we need judgment calls or assistance. And so, Michael, if you are listening, we appreciate you and everything that the department is doing to assist with us. Michael Fonzino. And now, this is the Back in the Saddle Award. Back in the Saddle Award. Now, you may have recalled, we sent off last year a long-standing member of our professional community, and that was Dr. Joanne Pilar. Dr. Pilar, Dr. Joe, come on up, Dr. Joe. Let's go. Come on up. So, so you might be wondering if, what brings Dr. Joanne Pilara back to be recognized here again in West Orange? Well, Dr. Pilara did retire. I believe it was the end of October last year, right? But we had a situation down at the Betty Magdalena Early Learning Center where our principal down there, Miss Connie Salambano, was out on leave. And we gave Dr. Joe a call, say, hey, Dr. Joe, how'd you like to get back in the, and Dr. Joe, did she ever? Let me tell you something about Dr. Joe. She came in and boy, she didn't miss a beat. I mean, she just absolutely did such an amazing job at Betty. And that, that's a challenging, that's a challenging job down there. But I tell you, you led with patience and love like you always have and always do. And it's been an absolute joy having you back, to be honest with you. I told you you were coming back one way or other. I know it. They're looking very clean. So outstanding leadership presented to Dr. Joanne Pilara, back in the saddle, as recognized by West Orange Public School District, West Orange Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last, but certainly not least, we had a couple folks from the community reach out to, I forget exactly whether you reached out to me first or it was the board, or I'm not exactly sure. All I know is it was a great idea. And we just love it when community members, you come with great ideas and an interest in partnering and doing things that are going to help, move the district forward and contribute to positive climate and culture. And so when Ms. Gina Rivas Velasquez and Ms. Elizabeth Redwine approached us, they had a great idea about how can we celebrate West Orange Public Schools, right? How can we show our pride for West Orange Public Schools? And they came up with this great idea for an I Love West Orange Schools magnet, which is now, adorning many, many cars around the school district. And one of the added benefits of that is that the proceeds were going to CPAC and to scholarships, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sorry, to fund the Warriors Club. And so just great work that Gina and Elizabeth did on that. So if you would come up now and be recognized for Outstanding Community Service Awards, Ms. Gina Rivas Velasquez. And I don't believe Ms. Redwine was able to be here tonight, but she might be watching. And so, Ms. Redwine, we thank you for your idea and your efforts on this. And that concludes the awards portion of our ceremony. District Scales, did you have something you wanted to say? Okay. All right. With that, we will take our place back on the dais. We will have a motions for President Trigg Scales and Board Member Merklinger, if you would want to stay on. Oh, no, it's down there.
I'd like to congratulate everyone. Most of our folks have departed, but so well deserved, so well deserved. We have an HIB report, Dr. Cascone.
Actually, this is just the only two items for the board's consideration relative to HIB are affirmation of two cases brought forward at the previous meeting. No new cases to report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Cascone.
You're welcome.
And,
Few updates, President Trixcales?
okay.
Yeah? Okay, thank you. So just a few updates. Obviously, well, first of all, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. May it be a happy, healthy, prosperous, and may 2022 find us on the other side of this COVID-19 hill. I do believe that it will. Hope springs eternal. So just a couple of things, in terms of that we're encountering right now. Obviously, our student liaison mentioned the cohorting this week at the high school, and again, it was in my communication, but really that was a strategy to just at a time when we were seeing rising cases, just for a short period of time in the immediate term, just reduce the occupancy in our buildings. I can tell you that I will be meeting tomorrow with the building principals, the director of the Department of Health, as well as our district physician, just to engage in a thought exchange about the post-holiday recess. I know there's a lot of questions and a lot of wonderings as to what additional mitigation strategies we might put in place after the vacation. Presently, we do not have any intention to employ additional ones, but we want to understand, and speaking with our partners in public health and the medical field, if that's prudent, whether we want to just kind of observe and evaluate. But we will be bringing a meeting together tomorrow in that regard to think through that. You may be aware that Roosevelt School went to half days for the remainder of the year. I'm sorry, the remainder of the calendar year. That's right.
Yes.
The remainder of December until we go on break. And that is another example of a differentiated strategy that's being employed at a school that needs it. I met with all the middle school principals this morning to understand if they were encountering similar dynamics, and they're not. The situation that's at Roosevelt School is unique, and it's uniquely connected to staffing challenges. They are currently staffing, have approximately 13 staff members that are filling in additional 6-period responsibilities, which precludes them from being able to cover classes because they already have full schedules. So that's 13 teachers out of the rotation for coverages on top of an additional 12 that are out for quarantines or illness or the like. It really makes it very difficult for them to be able to manage the school. We did not want to go virtual. So the intermediate option was to go for a half day, which takes lunch out of the mix and just simply requires the building administration, the teachers to manage the school day for less time. That is also a strategy that we do not see employing in the long term, but it remains a strategy that if we need to, we can in any school. And I will tell you that as we move into the winter months, and if the cases continue to go up, and if the number of quarantines increase, then the likelihood that we might encounter similar situations in other schools whereby we simply don't have enough staff in the building, forget about delivering and teaching learning, but even to simply safely supervise the children in the building, then this might be an option that we need to go with. Tangent to that is that Mr. Santiago and the technology team have been busy getting the ECF funded devices. And presently we've been giving out about 1,500 devices that were purchased through that federal grant. And the purpose of that is so that we can ensure that all students have access to a device at home. Why is that important? Well, if at some point in time, we need to close schools for full school quarantine, or whatever the case may be, we need to ensure that all of our students have access to those devices. My understanding is that that's going to continue over the Christmas break and the winter holiday break. in getting those. And if you're getting calls from the technology department, please get and do those pickups as soon as possible. I think that those were, Mr. President Truscell, did I miss anything?
No, I think that sounds good.
Okay, but other than that, I would like to, I don't know if I'll have an opportunity after the superintendent's report, but I just want to thank President Trigg Scales and thank Board Member Merklinger for their service. Just a side note, they were the last of members of the board that appointed and hired me. So, there's always sort of a special bond that's shared in that respect. But I'll miss you both. And I want to thank you for your support and leadership through what has been a very difficult time. But I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I would ask that we perhaps defer board reports until the end of the agenda. Is that agreeable, board members?
Yes.
Okay. So what happens next, Dr. Cascone?
Okay, so I'd like to ask Vice President Tunnicliffe to read the President Trigg Scales motion into the record.
Certainly. We recommend approval of the following resolutions presented to Terry Trigg Scales by the West Orange Board of Education, Essex County. Whereas Terry Trigg Scales has served the citizens of her community for 3 years as a member of the Board of Education and as the board's president for one of those years. And whereas Terry Trigg Scales' service to the West Orange Board of Education includes her leadership and participation in a wide range of committees and associations, including but not limited to negotiations, policy, New Jersey School Boards Association, and Essex County School Boards Association. And resolved that the West Orange Board of Education expresses its deep appreciation to Terry Trigg Scales for her exemplary service to the children of West Orange Township and the state of New Jersey. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to Essex County School Boards Association.
Am I coming around? Or?
Yes, come on around.
Okay.
I'm gonna move out of the picture. Check, 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 check.
Members of the board, would you like to come up and take a picture of the liaison?
Pictures.
Great holidays. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. I like live at the high school. I'm always here. I'm at everything, but it's nice. Thank you. No, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing the awesome things you guys are doing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it goes to extremes.
Yeah.
That's the first test. If it gets there, I'll do it. Okay. Do you want to recall?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And now President Trigg Scales, if you would read Board Member Merklinger's resolution into the record.
Yes.
Presented to Cheryl Merklinger by the West Orange Board of Education, Essex County. Whereas Cheryl Merklinger has served the citizens of her community for 3 years as a member of the Board of Education. And whereas Cheryl Merklinger's service to the West Orange Board of Education includes her leadership and participation in a wide range of committees and associations, including, but not limited to, policy, public relations, New Jersey School Boards Association, and as board township liaison. And resolved that the West Orange Board of Education expresses its deep appreciation to Cheryl Merklinger for her exemplary service to the children of West Orange Township and the state of New Jersey. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Essex County School Boards Association.
Yeah, we can do that. At this time, yeah, because you got it, President?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Okay, I would just like to thank everybody who's hanging in here with us this evening. We're going to take a break now. We have a lovely cake out there. Congratulating Ms. Merklinger and myself, and it's a big cake. So before anybody else leaves, we have to go out and eat cake. So we're going to take a 10-minute break and go and eat cake. Thank you.
Policy time.
We are back from our break. And since I'm president for this last evening, I'm going to take the liberty of giving a brief board report in the way of a thank you. This is an emotional night, being my last night on the West Orange Board of Education and serving as president. I'd first like to thank the community for having faith in me over these last 3 years to serve in a governance role. It has been my pleasure. It has been my honor. I'd also like to thank my family and friends who, when I told them I was running for the Board of Education, they looked at me as if I had taken leave of my senses. And they've hung in there with me. It's been a fast 3 years, and I think I'm still okay. And the last time I checked, I think I'm in pretty good shape. And then I want to thank my campaign team, and many of them are here this evening. And they're the ones who spurred me on and convinced me that this could be possible. And so I want to especially thank them. I want to thank the student liaisons because they have to go home now. They have a curfew. And just to tell you how refreshing it's been to have you serve in that role. Ms. Mordecai is the board member who had the idea of bringing liaisons to the West Orange Board of Ed. And I've had the pleasure of working with several of you over the last 3 years. And just remarkable. And it's wonderful to have student voice because this is why we're here, is because of the students. So I treasure you. And I think we just said we're going to stay in touch, right? So now you may go home. Thank you. Thank you. And I also just want to share my appreciation with the staff, the teachers, the support staff, the administrators. We couldn't have school without them. That's what makes a school. And I want to show my appreciation to them. And the boards that I've served on, the first board, Ms. Mordecai, Mr. Robertson, Ms. Merklinger, Mr. Alper, and under the leadership of the district with Mr. Mendez. And so I thank her for leading us through that first year. And they tell you that one of the single most important things you can do as a Board of Education member is to hire an instructional leader. And so, Ms. Merklinger, I think you would join me in saying that we worked so hard. The search committee was saying, a board has never done this before. I was like, we want to get this right. And he hung in there with us because we were taking him through hills and valleys. And so we're just so happy that we found Dr. Kescom. That was our greatest accomplishment, that first board. And our second board with Ms. Tunnicliffe and Mr. Rothstein and Ms. Merklinger and Mr. Alper. That board started out in January, and you know what happened in March. Things shut down with the pandemic. And that board did something that no other board, unless you're over 100 years old and served on the board, have you been able to say that you have led a district through a pandemic. And so what else happened? The murder of George Floyd, the racial injustice, the civil unrest. What a year. What a year for that board. And so what did we do? We decided, Ms. Merklinger, that we were going to pass an equity bylaw so that not only that board, but every board hereafter would use that as a lens in their decision-making and in their policy-making. And so that I'm most proud of. And then this final board with Ms. Merklinger and Vice President Tunnicliffe and Mr. Rothstein and Ms. Huerta. So what did we do? We opened school during the pandemic. No other board has done that before. And we did a lot. We were a very busy board. 3 years we've been working on converting our board policies. 3 years. We just finished it Thursday night and we're going to pass it tonight. 3 years we've been working on that. What else have we done? I would say that we have led under the leadership of Dr. Cascone. We've made it through a very tumultuous year, but we have accomplished a lot. And I think that as we move forward, we should all be very proud of the work that we've done. So I want to congratulate the board. And thank you for your support. And I'm going to miss you immensely. I'm going to miss you. I've said to folks, I'm going to miss all the good stuff. I'm definitely going to miss all the good stuff. And the best part of being on the board is the number of wonderful people that I have met in my journey. I have met so many wonderful people. And so, Ms. Merklinger, I'm going to throw the ball to you now.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you. No, Zachary is very eloquent and always does the right thing. So hard to follow and definitely covered a lot of what I would have liked to have covered myself. But I definitely want to just thank the community for trusting me and leading us, as part of the board. And for this opportunity to serve the community. It's I love West Orange. I bleed blue and white, and to be able to serve in this capacity was just an awesome thing. So I thank everyone for their support for that. I want to especially thank my son, who was a little worried about me doing this at first because he was in school and he's like, Mom, my friends are going to see you all the time. And it's a little bit different, sure, my peers can relate to that with having kids in the district as well. And I want to thank all my friends and the faculty and staff that supported me throughout the entire time. Volunteering is not an easy thing, and I know a lot of the folks here understand that, especially on the board. And those that I'm fortunate enough to coach with, it's a thankless job in some ways, but it's very rewarding in others. And so I just want to thank everyone for their continuous support. I'm sure I will be around and I will see everyone all the time, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm homegrown West Orange. So just want to thank everyone in the community for trusting us. Thank my fellow board members. I know I ask a lot of questions and sometimes I make things a little uncomfortable, but I appreciate everyone's, I think that's what made us work well through the years with Mr. Scales, having differing opinions, not everyone always agreeing on everything. I think that's what makes the board work and having great discussions. I want to thank the prior boards that I was had the honor of serving with. I learned a lot from those members and from previous boards that I didn't serve with, but always had guidance and offered up, whenever we had questions on historic things in West Orange. So just thank everyone, and I wish everyone the best of holidays. And the new board that's coming in, I think you have, some big shoes to fill, but I think they're going to do a great job. And just thank everyone for their support.
Thank you, Ms. Merklinger. And, just one more comment. It's sort of like an iceberg being on the board. Folks see the tip of the iceberg, But under what looks like those calm waters, there's a lot going on underneath. And so boards work really, really hard, put in lots and lots of hours beyond what folks see as we sit here at the table. All right, so now we're going to move into some business. Yes?
Questions from the public?
Oh, I'm sorry. Questions from the public on agenda items. Do we have Google Docs? Oh, Dr. Cascone, you're confusing me. I was moving into board policies, so,
I stand corrected, President Triggscales.
and I'm listening right to you and
My
following.
apologies, President Triggscales. You are,
I was on point. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
All right, great. So we're going to move into some business now. Item number 9, board policies. We're looking at A, the second reading and adoption of the following bylaws and board policies and regulations. That's attachment 2. And B, abolishment of the following bylaws, board policies and regulations. That's attachment 3. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Tunnicliffe. Is there a second?
Yes, seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Rothstein. Any discussion on A or B?
Yes, please.
Yes, Mr. Rothstein.
Thank you so much. On item A, there's one policy that was a part of the set of policies that we reviewed and are prepared to approve, but it was not included in the grid of policies that's part of attachment number
Number
2.
Okay. And what number was that?
That's policy number 2464.
Is that the G and T?
It is, yes, gifted and talented.
Okay.
And so the question, I'm not sure if this should be posed in the form of a motion or not, but the question is whether, considering that it was a part of the public document and that we've reviewed it, can it be added to that list of the grid and then approved along with the remainder of the policies?
I would think so.
Yes, we can add it to the grid and include it in the minutes, but we can take the motion, say, including policy 2464.
Okay. So we need to amend the motion?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the motion would be amended as including policy number 2464, the gifted and talented?
That's correct.
All right. So do we need to go through it again?
In the vote will include that we're voting on the policies.
Oh, okay. So we can just take the
inclusive
vote?
of- Yes.
Great. Okay.
Inclusive of 2464.
All right. So as amended, as amended in letter A. All right. So any further discussion? All right. Thank you. Ms. Flowers?
Okay. Ms. Merkinger,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Vice President Tunnicliffe,
Yes.
President Triggscales.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now we're moving into questions from the public on agenda items. Any comments from the public? You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for us, please.
Nicole Rufo for Overlook Avenue. I'm here to, I guess, congratulate all the people that were honored tonight, but they're not here to hear me. But that was really a special event, especially in these turbulent times. But I'm also mostly here just to honor President Triggscales and her 3 years of time that she served. I remember when you were first running for the Board of Ed and your slogan was "Get an Educator on Board," and how important that was to have someone who understood the business of education. I think a lot of people think that they understand education because we've all went to school, but people who really work in education know the nuanced business that really only someone working in education can understand. So it was so important to have someone come onto the board, especially at a time when we were going to be hiring a new superintendent, and that was such a big deal. So when you got on the board, and that first big gift of your work to West Orange was being on that search committee and helping to find our superintendent and giving us a leader that has been transparent and like, I guess I would say, like, loves West Orange and shows it. And even though it's been a very difficult 3 years that you've had to serve with things that you never would have imagined, right? Like when you started your time here, you were searching for a superintendent, not thinking that there would be a pandemic, that there would be some very public murders of Black people, and the racial injustice cause coming to a forefront, needing to come to the forefront, but just having that all happening at once. So I'm just so thankful that you were here for those times, even though I know it's been probably some difficult times for you. You gave it your all, and you put the educator forward in order to help support our superintendent as an educator and all the educators working in our district. And I know that that meant a lot to them to have you on the board. So also just thanking you as an allergy parent here in West Orange for the allergy policy that was passed during your time. That was something that I brought to the forefront in these meetings, and you listened and you made sure that it got moved forward. And that helped to have an allergy management policy that is serving all children with life-threatening food allergies in our district, and it will continue to serve long after your time here. So thank you so much for all of you've done for the allergy families and for all families of West Orange.
Thank you.
Good evening, Robin Iserlis, 22 Yale Terrace. I just wanted to, again, also honor all of the awardees. It's really exciting to celebrate all the talent that we have in our district. And it's always a treat to see that come alive. But I just want to thank you, Ms. Trigg-Scales, Terry, for how seriously you took this responsibility, for how thoughtful you've been every step of the way. Even when I didn't entirely agree with the decision that you made, I knew that it was out of a lot of thought and contemplation, and you took nothing lightly. And I can't tell you how much that is so meaningful for someone to serve our community. I think I speak for a great many people probably listening out in the ether who are very grateful for all that you have contributed to making this school district a stellar example of what public schools can be. So thank you for taking a chance on us, and all the best to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rufo and Dr. Iserlis. Appreciate it. Do we have Google Docs questions, Mrs. Flowers? On
Yes.
agenda items?
Yes, we do.
Okay, would you share, please?
Okay, the first submission is from Ms. Laura Nessner, 50. Our first submission is from Ms. Laura Nessner, 504 Eagle Rock Avenue. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Merkinger for her service to the board over the last 3 years. She has proven to be a true proponent of the education of our children, as well as a critical eye on the fiscal decisions being made in our district. I'll be honest, I was not keeping myself very informed prior to the start of the pandemic. It was near impossible for me to show up in person when we first entered the district. But through the Zoom meetings during COVID, I listened and participated at every meeting. It made me realize that I needed to pay more attention. And a lot of that was due to Ms. Merklinger. She was never willing to vote yes on something just because everyone else was, which made me look into those items and find out more information. If she didn't feel like it was something good for the district, she would vote no. I appreciated this and started really looking at the agendas and researching what I could. Her unwavering support of getting our children in school last year was what really set her apart and made me appreciate all she does. She unapologetically believed our children deserved more. Ms. Merklinger was the lone voice expressing the thoughts and concerns of the many parents who needed their children in school. I could also tell she was really in touch with our community. Oftentimes, she would ask the many questions that other people in our community had been voicing at drop-off, pickup, at sports. She took the concerns of those people and used her platform to get the answers. That is what public service is about. So thank you, Ms. Merklinger. Thank you for being a fierce advocate for the education of the children of West Orange and for also your keen eye on the spending in our district, both equally important for a district to be successful. I only regret I couldn't be there to thank you in person. I also want to take a moment and congratulate Mrs. Cooney on her award. She was a bright spot in a dim year last year. Always positive, patient and kind, and smiling in the Zoom classroom. Congratulations. Madison still talks about you and misses you. Our second submission is from Mr. Justin Goldsman, 14 Moran Road. Oh, excuse me. It's from Lauren Weinshank, 6 Curie Lane. While many are calling for a remote option, I wholeheartedly and unequivocally believe that our schools must stay open safely. As per current guidance, vaccinated students and staff who are exposed and remain asymptomatic do not need to quarantine. If you want schools to stay open and lessen the chance that your child will need to quarantine and protect others, get vaccinated. Milburn BOE held a vaccination event in partnership with Copperman Barnabas, formerly St. Barnabas, for ages 5 through 11. Has WO looked into this? Parents may feel more comfortable having their children vaccinated by hospital staff on school property. Over 400 children were vaccinated at the Milburn event. If the district is not actively part of the solution, they are part of the problem. Of note, Dr. Kelly oversees multiple districts, including Livingston, which has had an uptick in cases. It seems concerning to me that WO is the only district that this was suggested to. Third submission is from Ms. Sarah During, 47 Oak Ridge Road. Bear with me one second. I'm not sure if this one is on the agenda, but I want to be sure to thank Cheryl and Terry for their service to the BOE. It is a big time commitment, and I'm grateful that community members are willing to sacrifice so much time and energy for the good of West Orange School District. I want to particularly commend Cheryl for asking the hard questions last year. She was a voice advocating for safe and in-person school, and I worry about what we will do without her speaking up for those students who were floundering at home with the virtual schooling efforts. And that completes our Google Doc for the agenda items.
Thank you, Ms. Flowers. Dr. Cascone, do you want to?
Just a few brief comments in response. My understanding is approximately 20% of the children ages 5 to 11 in West Orange have been vaccinated to date. I have been in preliminary conversations with Mr. Fonzino, the prospect of hosting a clinic on school site. Just haven't had the runway to get it done with everything else that's going on, but that is something that we've discussed. In terms of the assertion by Mrs. Wanshank that WO is the only district to have done this, actually there are multiple districts in northern New Jersey that have taken more aggressive steps already, namely South Orange, Maplewood, and Chatham, both of which have gone all virtual. So I would suggest that the approach that West Orange has taken is a middle way between those. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will now move into item 11, reports, discussions, and recommendations. And I see we have a couple of retirements. I'd like to congratulate Ms. Robin Berkowitz from St. Cloud School, grade 3. She's retiring after 31 years here in the school district. And congratulations also go to Miss Isabel Makowski from the high school. She is a Spanish teacher there, and she is retiring after 21 years here in the district. So congratulations to Miss Makowski. Congratulations. And this is the last opportunity I get to say this, but welcome to the club where every day is Saturday. So fabulous. All right, so I am looking to entertain a motion for personnel, A, items 1 through 6, attachments 4 and 5. And I will entertain a motion for personnel, A, items 1 through 6, attachments 4 and 5.
A motion.
Thank you, Ms. Merklinger. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Tunnicliff. Any discussion on personnel?
On number 6, we were going to add that clause to amend the previously
Yes.
approved.
Mhm.
Is that in that's in the
It's
updated
in the-
agenda, right?
yes,
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, nothing further.
All right, so Mrs. Flowers, with no further discussion, would you please take a vote?
Ms. Merklinger,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Vice President Tunnicliff,
Yes.
President Trigg Scales.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. And now we're moving to B, curriculum instruction. Items 1 through 8, attachments 6 and 7, and C, finance. A, special services, B, business office, items 1 through 9, attachments 8 through 11. And I also want to recognize a donation from Blackboard, $40 to West Orange High School. So thank you so much. The Blackboard Giving Fund, New York Life. So thank you very much. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Tunnicliff. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Merklinger. Any discussion on curriculum and finance?
I just had 2 quick questions.
Mhm.
On number 2, under curriculum and instruction, I just wanted to make sure that we vetted the pictures that are on the summer enrichment program brochure, that they have, those children have photo releases on file. And then on number 6, I thought perhaps we could get a little more color on the reasons for putting back the trailers, the recommendation of EI. I think the public would like to hear a little bit more about that.
Thank you for that question, Vice President Tunnicliff. Yes, so we recognize that the mention of the return of trailers is one that certainly merits some important qualifications. As you know, we've only recently, even within my time here, have removed trailers from both, I believe, Gregory School and Redwood School. So this is all part of a multi-phased plan connected to our preschool expansion grant. In order to be eligible to apply for the preschool expansion grant this year, we have to be able to verify that, we have to confirm that we offer our existing preschool classes are full day. Now, we do have some of our sections at Betty Madalena are full day, but not all of them. Our space at the BMELC is not adequate for us to be able to have all of our sections there full time. You may previously recall that we did previously move, I believe, 4 sections of the preschool over to Washington School. In order to complete those full-day programs in the short term, we need to create additional spaces. And the most appropriate place would be Washington School, because that's already where it's like our satellite location for our preschool classes presently. We are in conversations with the Life Christian Church to have our lease, to gain an extension on our lease there. And the final piece to the puzzle is probably the most complex, and that's to go out to the public with a bond, a modest bond, but a bond to, amongst other things, retrofit the Board of Education office into a full preschool. Now, it would not be able to house our entire preschool population, but it would more than comfortably house our entire BMELC school, as well as room for an additional 2 or 3 sections. The goal of the preschool expansion grant is to, within 5 years, be able to offer universal pre-K to 90%, at least 90% of our preschool age children. So this is sort of an intermediate need at Washington School, but not one that we would foresee being in place for more than 2 years, because the plan would be to go out to bond in the fall of next year, to complete the work in the following school year, and to open the new preschool at the board office in, is it September of 2024?
Yes.
Right, September of 2024. There are a couple other moving parts there, but that's the grand scheme, and this is an important piece to that puzzle. One final thought, Vice President Tunnicliffe, is that in the first year, we would engage with some community providers. And in year one of that 5-year plan, we'd be offering preschool to an additional 120, at least an additional 120 to 150 preschool age children. And that would be next year if we are awarded the grant, which we're optimistic we will be. So that's the long version.
Thank you so much.
You know, I prefer the long version.
I know.
you do. It's just, I don't know if everybody else, but I do. Thank you, Vice President Tunnicliffe.
Was that it? Oh, I just asked about the photos. Do
Right.
we have photo releases on those students?
Indeed. That has not been made public yet, but
Okay.
it's a good question. I would imagine so, but we will confirm that for sure before it goes public.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yes, one, please.
Mr. Rothstein.
Thank you. Item number 7 regarding the transportation agreement with Hunterdon County ESC. I appreciated a clarification on that earlier today, but was just hoping that for public edification, we could get an explanation of what that is for.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rothstein. The joint transportation agreement between Hunterdon County ESC and our district is for the transporting of students that live in district that attend Golda Ak. So the Hunterdon County, they have been transporting those students since September. We've just received the contract, so we needed to get it approved so we could start payment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? There being none, Mrs. Flowers, would you kindly take the vote?
Ms. Merklinger,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Vice President Tunnicliffe,
Yes.
President Trick Scales.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and then D is reports, and that is harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Tunnicliffe. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Merklinger. My teeth are chattering, so if I sound funny, that's why. Any discussion? There being none. Mrs. Flowers, please.
Ms. Merklinger,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Vice President Tunnicliffe,
Yes.
President Trick Scales.
Yes.
Thank you.
And now that moves us right into petitions and hearings of citizens, and these are questions related or non-related to agenda items. And again, it's 3 minutes, and we ask that you give your name. Are there any questions from the floor? I see none. Do we have Google Docs questions, Ms. Flowers?
Yes, we do, President Trick Scales.
Thank you.
The first submission is from Mr. Justin Goldsman, 14 Moran Road. Dear esteemed members of the West Orange Board of Education, my name is Justin Goldsman from Moran Road, West Orange. Thank you for the time tonight. Let me preface this with the understanding this dialogue may be difficult, both to comprehend and to reflect upon, and I truly appreciate the opportunity tonight. Anti-Semitism is skyrocketing across the United States and the world at large. We have a vibrant Jewish community here in West Orange as part of a larger, beautifully diverse community. Our diversity, our cultures, our backgrounds are why this community is both so wonderful and so attractive for so many families. Having a large, vibrant Jewish community, as a Jew myself, is wonderful, yet at the same time often casts a guise on the realities of Jews across the world. And as an entity responsible for both the development and growth of our students, which means immediately, but also to set our precious students up long-term educational success. I come to you as a resident, as an educator, and as a Jew, because the foundation you set now will determine whom our wonderful students grow up to become. Jews in the United States make up 2% of the population. Globally, they make up 0.2%, less than 1%. Many may not know that due to our large and vibrant community here, despite being 2% of the US population, the majority of US religious hate crimes, 60% targeted Jews. One of the smallest minorities was the largest recipient of religious hate crimes. And let me be very clear, prior to continuing, all forms of hate and bigotry have no place here in West Orange or anywhere. Only through understanding, learning, and welcoming will our rainbow mosaic of society not just connect, but mesh and interweave as the powerful and beautiful society we know it can become. 2% of the US population, 0.2% of the global population. There are nations across the world who have forced out all of their Jews, hundreds of thousands, and nations where Jews are not allowed to visit. Several days ago, during Hanukkah, a 6th grader found a swastika flyer at her temple in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, that read, "We are everywhere." This weekend, in our beloved community, 3 swastikas were chalked outside of Temple B'nai Shalom. 40% of Jewish students on college campuses report being physically threatened because of their religion. 69% of college students and alumni report avoiding certain events and spaces because they felt threatened because of their Jewish identity. It is imperative that on committees regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, that Jews have a voice. The numbers speak for themselves. I say all of this because I want our community now, when they go off to college, when they come back, when they move here, to know that this community welcomes all, regardless of their race, religion, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. It is important to know that even when it's not apparent, there are allies here who support the community. And with that, it's okay to ask them to be louder and more vocal, but know that all are welcome and belong here. Some in our community right now are shocked, some are not surprised, but many are hurting. When we welcome all, we mean all. My 2 questions for the board tonight are, how is the board and school system planning to counsel those students who are particularly impacted or upset by these recent outbreaks of anti-Semitism? And how will it convey to those who don't understand the histories and the realities their Jewish classmates may feel? How will the school district plan to increase and enhance the New Jersey Holocaust curriculum, given the recent incidents of hate and swastikas? In closing, we have seen time and time again what happens when communities are silent about hate against Jews, time and time again, and it never ends well. While this was a disgusting and hate-filled moment in our town's history, I hope we can all come away from this with a sense of recommitment to education and to combating hate in all of its forms. Let's use this moment to ensure it's the last of its kind in town. I thank the board for their time tonight and look forward to their support in tackling this important issue. Yes.
Is there another?
Yes, there is. Ms. Lauren Weinshank, 6 Curry Lane. I would like to comment on the symbols of hate, swastikas, that were drawn in front of a Jewish temple on Pleasant Valley Way. Hate has no home in West Orange, although sadly, anti-Semitism continues to run rampant. I hope the school district continues to denounce hate for all religions, including Judaism, and continues to educate on the atrocities of the Holocaust. It must never happen again. And finally, Sarah During, 47 Oak Ridge Road. I'm very disappointed that our elementary students were not able to have any parents attend concerts this year, while the WOHS program was advertised as Come One, Come All. That was a really contradictory message. I do not at all oppose the West Orange High School having an open concert in such a highly vaccinated community, and I'm glad they were able to showcase their talents. But once again, we are keeping our youngest students from being able to experience one of the joys of living, performance, and parental engagement with their school. How can we tell their parents their engagement with school is crucial, and then bar them from the activities where we have the most parental engagement. Pushing parents away does not serve anyone. We could have allowed our elementary schools to have their concerts at the high school or at the middle school. Why wasn't this considered? I hope better efforts are made in the future to allow students and parents to enjoy these foundational school experiences together. In addition, I must express my concern with the continuously circulating rumor that WOSD is going to go to hybrid or virtual schooling. I expressed this concern this past week and was told it wasn't permitted. I know this, but I also know that you can and apparently did apply for a waiver. Please do not do this. At least attempt to encourage students to vaccinate. This has not yet really occurred in West Orange School District. I wasn't asked for a vaccination card until last week. I emailed it to the school nurse and did not even receive a response. Even just a thank you or acknowledgement that it was sent would have been nice. We could have pop-up clinics in the schools. We could ask on a weekly basis for the students' vaccination cards to encourage vaccination. The entire tone around vaccination in West Orange School District has been lackluster at best and discouraging at worst. Regardless, it is really inducing panic to my child to even hear the rumors circulating about hybrid or virtual school. She did not want to get vaccinated. I told her getting vaccinated would keep her in school, and that is why she did it without complaint. It is absolutely a middle finger to those of us that got our children vaccinated for the sole purpose of keeping them in society. There is no reason why my vaccinated child should be deprived of an in-person education. None. She should not have to quarantine unless she is actually positive for COVID or one of her family members is positive for COVID. She should not be subject to close contact quarantines or whole class closures without any symptoms because she is vaccinated, period. The vaccines work, not to get rid of COVID, which will never happen, but to make sure that it is more mild. We cannot very well say the vaccines work and then act as if they do not. And that completes the Google submissions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Cascon, would you like to address some of those questions?
There's a lot there. I will try and be brief. So first, with regard to Mr. Goldsman's and Ms. Swineshank's comments regarding the recent acts of hate that occurred recently, obviously, as the school district, we obviously come out strongly and denounce that. The school environment, prior to the HIB statute and corresponding policy, I would argue always strive to create environments that were safe, that were free of bias. Now, of course, we know that that's a journey, and that there's still work to be done. But what I can say definitively, while perhaps not so much on the outside environment, that school districts are held strictly and strongly accountable to ensuring that whether it be imagery or words or gestures, whether they be in person, verbal, written, digital, are addressed and are addressed strictly under the HIB policy. And we will continue to do that. And we will continue to move our initiatives relative to diversity, equity, inclusion forward. I really appreciate the one point about ensuring that that folks of Jewish descent and faith have a place at the equity table. And I think that goes for members of other religious groups as well. So I really appreciated that. What I would we. While as a non-Jewish person, I can't empathize, I can definitely understand And by empathize, I mean, I don't understand, not being from that faith and having family members who were impacted by the Holocaust. I can't pretend to understand how painful that must be to see that imagery. But I can tell you that we stand in solidarity with you on that. And maybe just a parting thought on that. I would say that, when 3 years or so I've been in this community, and I'm often in the schools, and I see the way our kids interact with one another. And what I see is a lot of unity, a lot of fellowship amongst students of all different backgrounds. And so what I would suggest is that there are many more people within this community that stand, many more that stand in solidarity with you against that hate than those that are of that school of thought. But your questions obviously are complex and are, go beyond my capacity this evening to respond, but rest assured they've been noted. And I will be following up with both Mr. Moore and the curriculum team to take a deeper dive into those. Relative to Ms. Kane-During's comments, and obviously there's a number of things there. Relative to the concerts, the elementary concerts, I think at the time that we were engaging in our planning, there was a reticence to do that. And I think the primary reason was that, the close quartering in the space, true, we could have done it in alternate locations. I think the other piece that was of concern was that those children of that age were not able to be vaccinated. I think that was one of the distinctions at that time. We're always looking retrospectively at our decisions and understanding, and we're not always, Mrs. Kane-During, we're not always 100% right. We don't always look back at our decisions and say, yeah, like we feel great about that decision, or we would have done that decision exactly the same. Part of managing a school district during these unprecedented times is that we're not always necessarily going to get it right. Just like we're not always going to necessarily get it right in life. But what we are willing to do, and what we'll continue to do, is be reflective and listen to feedback. And we have other events. There are other things that we can do this year as we move into the spring, and we will do that. I would respectfully suggest that Mrs. Kane-During's characterization of the district's efforts insofar as vaccination as being, I forget the language she used, dismal or abysmal or something lackluster, sorry. As a bit hyperbolic, I would have to disagree with Mrs. Kane-During. First off, as far as 12 to 17-year-olds in the township, we have extremely high percentage of 12 to 17-year-olds vaccinated. We partnered with the township and hosted pop-up clinics for those children, and we have plans to do that with the Department of Health for 5 to 11-year-olds. We've in all of my weekly updates for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been providing information to our parent community relative to information about getting those vaccines and where to do that. And, in speaking with Mr. Fonzino, our percentage of 5 to 11s vaccinated has in the relatively short time to which they've had access has gone up very quickly. What I would ask for from folks is an understanding that as a school district, we have limited resources. There's only so much we can accomplish and do on a daily basis with our existing resources. And so there's a sense that, you should be doing this and more and that. The lift that this is on a daily basis is massive. It is massive. And it is on a daily basis taxing our resources to the very brink. To engage and to complete this mission on a daily basis. And so I would just simply ask for the community's understanding and patience with additional expectations for us to do something else and something more. There's only so much we can accomplish with the resources we have, and perhaps begin advocacy towards other civic entities. That maybe other civic entities can step up to the trenches and join us in this fight. Because from my perspective, and if I appear to be bristling just a touch, I am, because public schools, no organizations, I would argue, no governmental entities, I would argue, have done more day to day to dig in and support their communities, whether it be education, food insecurity, or social emotional health, or whatever the case may be. And so just ask for some patience that we are we're doing all that we can, but we will continue to look at hosting those pop-up clinics with the township. Relative to Indeed, if your child is fully vaccinated, they would not need to quarantine due to close contact. That is in fact true. It hasn't applied to most elementary students because it's relatively recent, their full vaccination status, but certainly any student that's vaccinated and is deemed close contact, within outside of 3 feet or within 3 feet. Now, that does not apply to household contacts, and that's a change we've put in place somewhat recently, which is regardless of vaccination status, if you're exposed in the home, we are asking you. But of course, there's shifting sands with this, right? There's shifting sands in the guidelines. We saw the State Department of Health walk their quarantine guidelines back. We see the CDC with really a very, very drastic change in approach to testing and quarantining. So that's why I think we're going to use the next week or two, even over the break, to start processing some of this new information and understanding where we're going to land with quarantine guidelines moving forward after the new year. At the end of the day as well, certainly we want to provide our parents with the information relative to vaccines, and we want to perhaps provide opportunities where we make that more efficient, effective, more convenient for them. Although they offer them right over there at the Kmart. We'll walk right in and they're right there. But at the end of the day, I think there also is a line, which as a superintendent, I'm an educator, I'm not a public health expert, I'm not a doctor. I think there is a line that I have to respect when it comes to parents' decisions about their own children's health and medical care. I feel like I need to be respectful of that, provide people with access, educate them about the benefits. But at the end of the day, that is a decision that is ultimately up to the parent to make. And I think I've just about covered it. Was there anything else, or no? I think I've gotten it. Okay, very good. Thank you, Ms. Farms. And I apologize, President Trigg-Scales, that I was not as brief as said I was going to be.
It's fine, Dr. Cascone. All right. If board members have comments, feel free as we move into reports from board members and the board president. So, Ms. Merklinger.
Thank you. I will keep this brief with this being my last meeting. Just again, want to just reiterate my thanks to the community, the students. You have my heart, and I will continue to work for you and advocate for you, even though I'm not on the board anymore. And to the faculty and staff, you're just as important as the students. And I think, that's what the board strives to accommodate everybody and be the best for everyone. So just want to extend my thank you to everyone, especially those folks in the community that supported me throughout the last 3 years. I want to wish everyone happy holidays. Enjoy the winter break. I know it's coming up this week. So take some much deserved time off to relax. Take some time in to spend time with family. Be careful traveling. Please get tested on your way back before you come back to school, because I will continue to advocate for us to stay in schools. And with that, just continue to support our school system here in West Orange, because we are definitely one of the far best school districts in, I would say, the state, if not the country. So again, just thank you to everyone and enjoy your holidays.
Thank you, Ms. Merklinger. Mr. Rothstein.
For starters, I just wanted to express gratitude for the comments on anti-Semitism and the events in the community here. And just to also express how heartening it was to see on some of the community posts on Facebook in particular, the outpouring of support, which was very overwhelming and really very encouraging. Appreciate the administration's response and the township administration's response and Dr. Cascone's response just now. I wanted to say a few words about Ms. Merklinger and Ms. Trigg-Scales. And Jen, apologies, I think I'm a little bit wordier than I had intended to be, and I hope that I don't step on anything that you intended to say. Apologies in advance. Cheryl, taking you back maybe about 3 years or so, I noticed something on your in your campaign literature. You spoke about Mr. Galante's 6th grade science class. And you spoke about the impact that he had on you, noting that he was raised in West Orange, involved with your family through sports, and served in West Orange schools as a teacher. And there's certainly several similarities for you with Mr. Galante. You also raised in West Orange and attended West Orange schools for part of your education, involved with many families in town through sports, and have also served the education community here through your service on the Board of Education. You've been very focused on retaining a West Orange perspective in just about everything that we've done on the board. West Orange is a town of very deep roots, and there are also many new branches. And in your work, you have sought to nurture the roots as well as to take care of the new branches. Community dedication through your work as a trustee and coach with PAL, the Police Athletic League, service on the Board of Education through many committees. I had the privilege to work with you on both the PR and the policy committees. Your knowledge of many issues impacting our schools and students has been so important. Through your connection to students, not just as a group or as an idea, but through actual personal involvement with many students at many grade levels. You've encouraged debate and a vigorous examination of ideas, decisions and ideas, and that has really helped to strengthen the decisions made by the board and the administration. Thank you very much for your service to this community, to this Board of Education, and most importantly, to all of our West Orange students. Terry, 38 years of service in the Montclair School District before you decided to come here. You served in Montclair as a teacher, assistant principal, principal, and assistant superintendent. You've served thousands of students and families in New Jersey who benefited from your knowledge, your leadership, strength, wisdom, vision, and warmth. And after retiring, instead of taking your well-deserved time off to rest, travel, and sip cold drinks at beach resorts around the world, you decided to run for the Board of Education. I remember listening to you speak at a debate when you were running for Board of Ed and thinking, wow, I hope she brings this fire, passion, and know-how to the school board. And you did, and we've benefited. Your experiences helped to guide us through an unusually challenging couple of years. COVID-19, lockdowns, and an unprecedented period of remote learning. Your effort on policies, updating and revising our entire set of policies that govern the district. This is a legacy that will continue to serve for many years to come. Contract negotiation, working on behalf of the West Orange Board of Education to negotiate contracts with all 3 unions that represent our employees. The hiring of Dr. Cascone as our superintendent. And I added to the list here, because you mentioned it earlier, the equity bylaw. Of course, all such important contributions. You've been present at countless events, athletic, academic, community-oriented, representing the board. And beyond the regular Board of Ed meetings, the special meetings and town halls that the public is aware of, you've attended hour after hour of training beyond what was required for Board of Ed members, served on several committees of the board, and attended countless hours of additional meetings to provide service to our school district. Through your experience and with your insight into the management of public schools, you brought forward questions to the administration with an authority that few possess and helped to guide our course. Through your love of our students and your desire to see all of our students succeed, you've pushed us forward academically and with a focus on social emotional learning and equity. Personally, I'm grateful to you for the many phone conversations, kicking around ideas and offering insight and guidance to help me become a better board member. You've set an example for me of how to best serve our community, and you've set the bar high. Between your work in Montclair and your service in West Orange, your impact will be felt for many for many years to come. We're better for your efforts. I know that this community, school district, and Board of Education is grateful to you for your service. Be well, keep in touch, and send pictures from those beach resorts.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, Ms. Tunnicliffe, Vice President.
I have one quick legislative update that I wanted to give. On December 11th, New Jersey School Boards held its legislative meeting, the final one of the calendar year. And one of the updates was coming that has been signed into law is S3434. And it's regarding special education students who are aging out during this pandemic. And that it's giving them an additional year to engage in transitional activities, which I thought was really important. So right now, it looks like the district would be reimbursed to the state using federal funds, not state district reimbursements. So that's good news, I think. And it sounds like there'll be 2 reimbursement periods, January 2022, and then the remaining balance would come in July 2022. So that's it for my legislative. And then I did want to say a few words about Ms. Merklinger and Ms. President Trigg Scales. Cheryl, I just wanted to say thank you for your perseverance in getting us finally over the finish line for the policies, and for some great discussions we had, and for especially your understanding of West Orange. I think you brought to us, we have to know where we came from before we know where we're going. And I think that was really, a lot of your insights were really helpful in guiding our policy decisions. I have to say, I will miss your reports at the board meetings. You always say things with such a sense of pride in West Orange, and it really makes me feel happy to be here in this town and all that we offer our students, and all the activities that our students engage in. And I think that's been a bi-monthly reminder of all the great things. So thank you for bringing that to the board. And then President Trigg Scales, thank you so much for your leadership this last year. And for all of my board members, I can't imagine having gone through this with another group of people. I think we've worked really well together and under your leadership in some incredibly challenging times. I've been grateful for our conversations and for your guidance. To me, certainly is going to be helpful in the next year. As Ms. Rufo had said, your understanding of the business of education really gave me the confidence to come into the vice president's role, having your guidance and your understanding and your counsel to me. I really appreciate that so much. And most of all, I will certainly miss your friendship on the board here. So I hope we continue to stay in touch. And thank you so much. And
thank you all so much for your very, very kind words. It has been quite an experience in this last year, being board president. I never knew what a board president did before. Now I know. Now I know. Couldn't have done it without you. When I first got on this board, and Ms. Merklinger will attest to this, that current board, I said, my philosophy is very simple. There is no I in team. And that is the credo that I have led with. It's a team. No one person can do anything all the time. And we stand on the shoulders of those board members who have come before us. And I'm happy that Cheryl and I will leave some good stuff behind. And we hope that, future boards will stand on what we've been able to accomplish. Cheryl and I came in together and we're going out together. But as I said earlier, having hired Dr. Cascone is probably the single most valuable gift that we have been able to give the West Orange Public Schools. I would like to just express my personal condemnation of the anti-Semitic act that took place at B'nai Shalom on Saturday. There is no place for hate in our community, and I stand with our Jewish residents as they remain strong. Being a member of a race, an ethnic group that has experienced discrimination and hatred, it troubles me, it saddens me greatly that this happened and continues to happen. And so personally, I just wanted to express that. Last Tuesday was a fun night at Turtleback Zoo. I don't think anybody saw me because it was so crowded. But it was fun, thanks to former board president Ron Charles and his family, and the Council of PTAs and the We Care for All Foundation. Our cheerleaders, our step teams, our cadets were there, and we had a great time. I never got a cup of hot chocolate. I couldn't get through all the people. But it was great. I've not experienced the holiday lights at Turtleback Zoo. Every year I say I'm going, and this year I said I am absolutely going, and it was spectacular. I enjoyed myself just like a kid. Congratulations to our governor's educator and educational service professionals of the year. We had awardees from each of our schools, and they were featured in social media, but I just wanted to give a shout out to them and let them know how proud we are of them. And of course, Principal Jackson talked about her Redwood Elementary School, but they were featured on the state DOE, the acting commissioner, yes, for their school-wide social and emotional learning day on December 8th. And I keep rambling because I know when I stop, I'm really stopping. And again, I wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Talk about needing a break. I know everyone is looking forward to it, staff, students, parents. I wish everyone happiness and good health in the new year. And I'll be around too. So I'm leaving the table, but I'm not leaving town. So I hope to see all of you and those who have joined in with us this evening. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Next meeting.
And the next yes. And the next meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. on January 6th. And that is the board's reorganization meeting. And we all will be welcoming Mr. Brian Rock and Mr. Eric Stevenson as they join the West Orange Board of Education. And now I'd like to call for a final motion to adjourn. Nobody wants to go? We're going to spend the night.
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Tunnicliff. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Merklinger. All in favor? And thank you to our tech staff.
Yes.
Can't thank you enough. Couldn't do it without you. Love you, love you, love you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is officially adjourned.